And so what better way to find out what the Christians actually read and what they actually do than by going to the source of their writings, which in this case is going to be chick tracts. This doesn't work.
Yeah.
That gets old.
Yeah.
Chick tracts are fun.
Oh, yeah.
These are written by a guy named Jack Chick, and what he does is they're little Christian...
Which I think is a pen name, right? Because Jack T. Chick, JTC...
Very possible.
Jesus the Christ. I think
very
that
possible. That's very possible.
Yeah.
And basically what it is, these little comic books that are meant for kids, and essentially what they are is just Christian fundamentalists, convert. Scare them into converting, mostly, is what it's in.
Conversion through fear, right?
Now, like I say, these are going to be a bit small. You can't see too much of them.
One. I was handed that one.
He knows these by sight, people.
Yeah.
And this is one called The Little Princess.
These are just too much.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this one I'm going to do quickly because it links to another one. This one's actually the story of this little girl on the cover. And what happens is she is very sick. She goes to the doctors in the very beginning. She's really sick. The doctors say you got a few weeks at most. And so she says the last thing she wants to do is go out trick-or-treating. And so the parents let her. And while she's out, she stops at a Christian, their new neighbors, a little Christian couple, who realize that she's sick, and so in her bag they dump in some candy, and they also dump in a chick tract.
Okay.
To try and save her.
Right.
So then she goes home for the evening. She's laying in bed.
So it's a chick tract promoting another chick tract.
Exactly.
Half of them do that.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like the crossover comics, like the Marvel's Secret Wars. Right?
Exactly.
You have to get the whole.
And so the base of the story is she gets the chick tract, she reads it, she converts, she pulls over the neighbor. She says, Daddy, please go get these people. I want to talk to them.
Yeah, on her dying breath. Right?
Exactly. And then she says, to the neighbors, can you talk to the parents? To her parents, and they convert, and so it's a big happy story in the end. And of course, the little girl does die in the end.
How cheery.
And yes, they're all...
Yes.
The
all-powerful God.
And I love the quote that they use.
Yeah, the all-powerful God doesn't cure her of her disease. It's, just...
And I love the quote that they put in here also. Later that night, when she actually dies, this frame right here, I know you can't see it, the angel is pulling up her spirit and carrying her away. And what is the Bible quote that they put at the bottom of these? Because they always have Bible quotes.
Yeah.
Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints.
God.
Whoa! Wow. Okay.
Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints.
So God likes seeing little sickly Christian children die.
Yes, apparently.
Yikes! Boy, yeah, that's a scary Halloween story, sure enough.
So.
Yeah. Let's show the cover of that one again, because it's just amazing.
But also,
close up.
Yeah.
The Bible speaks of saints that way because any book, a holy book that supports people dying to keep that book preserved, it's like survival of the fittest. The religions that have you die for it, become martyrs, are the ones that survive.
There we go. That's a little girl that wanted to go trick-or-treating. You can see how sickly she looks even on the cover.
Sort of big bags under her eyes.
Yeah.
But she gamely gets in that little princess outfit and
exactly, and goes out trick-or-treating.
And good for her. So, now this is what's interesting, right? Because Christians, our fundamentalist Christians, are like really down on Halloween. It's this big, horrible, satanic activity that exists to fool our children into, doing demon worship stuff without knowing it. But now, this tract seems to be promoting the idea that, it's by undertaking this horrible demonic activity is actually potentially a good way to get saved. Yeah. So it's like Christians trying to claim Halloween for themselves now.
We're on this one kind of quickly.
Like it was ever really an evil, satanic thing. I mean, it's just...
Of course, if that little girl didn't go trick-or-treating, she wouldn't have gotten the chick tract, wouldn't have been saved, and would be burning in hell.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
She'd be... Yeah.
And also, in here, there's no way you're going to be all focused on this, but they show the frame where they're actually dumping in the chick tract.
Oh, okay. So
the one that they're dumping in is the real one.
Okay.
It's this one. Happy Halloween.
Okay.
That one was kind of nasty. This one is absolutely horrid.
Wow.
This one is about 3 kids who go out trick-or-treating, and they go to a haunted house, and it's all scary and everything. And when they come out, now see if you can get a close-up on this.
They die horribly.
This one. The poor child is struck by a car and killed. And again, not only
that's nice.
screech, thud.
Okay, you see, that's just arm reaching. Like,
exactly.
No!
Let's go out and see what we can do here.
They make it as scary as possible.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is
and then not
through
only
fear.
that,
And it's meant for children. This
Yeah.
track
again,
is
these are for children.
kids.
Yeah.
And then it goes on to this.
Yeah, this is the
and
one they want
show
you to
the
dump
little-
in trick-or-treat bags.
The kid on the street, his head all, banged open
and he's got
stuff.
demons looking over him, right?
Exactly. The demons are carrying away his spirit.
That's me.
now.
Not anymore. You're dead. Dun dun dun.
So,
Oh, geez.
so again, and then this child goes to hell because he was not a good Christian.
Yeah.
And it's
That's right.
even
Children,
Beautiful.
remember that.
Yes.
Children, even children who aren't Christians, will be tortured for all eternity if they don't join the Jesus fan club.
Yeah.
Remember 2 weeks ago we got in a big slugfest with callers who just could not comprehend why this is a profoundly evil belief. Okay?
Yeah.
If you say that children deserve to be tortured forever for any reason whatsoever, okay, that's just flat sick. It's a deranged belief system.
And again,
And there's no way you can spin your way out of that.
Yeah, and not only here they are. It's the parent after the child was dead and gone. The parents are talking over with some of the friends, stuff like that, saying, "If I hadn't listened to you, Mom, Timmy wouldn't be dead if they hadn't gone to the haunted house and everything." And the mom saying, "At least he's in heaven, right, Miss Baxter?" And she's over there on the couch saying, "Oh, how I wish he was. I cried all night when I heard he was dead. I love that boy." And goes on saying he refused to repent and give up his earthly goods.
Yeah.
Oh, well, he deserves to be tortured.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so he deserves to be tortured.
And
The
so,
little boy should have known better about the supernatural.
of course. And even his friend saying, "But that's impossible. Timmy was a good kid. Don't make the mistake of believing that good people go to heaven and bad people go to hell. That's a lie straight from the devil. We all deserve to go to hell because we are all sinners."
Are they trying to make people want to worship Satan?
People, because
We are all scum.
Christianity hates people.
Yes.
It hates people.
We are all scum.
And this is pure conversion through threats and fear. It's exactly what we were talking about on the show 2 weeks ago.
Yep.
It's as bold as life. I mean, you can't pretend that this isn't what it's about.
Yep. And so the rest of this is all about how...
And this is the one that the chick people want you to put in little children's trick-or-treat bags.
Yep.
When they should just be getting yummy treats and candy and having a fun time, laughing and giggling and cutting up and being kids.
That's child
This
abuse.
is this is child. They want to take take children's childhoods away, basically, by introducing them to these terrifying concepts and telling them, no, this isn't make-believe stuff. This is real. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah. And so the rest of the track is mostly on how if you accept Jesus, and only if you accept Jesus, there's absolutely nothing else you can do to save yourself. Then you'll be saved. Otherwise, you're going to burn for all eternity.
How nice.
And again, got to show one of the last frames, and
it's the protection racket, right?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to zoom in on this frame here because it is just absolutely horrid. This child here, his friend was just killed.
And
look at him. He's beaming. And he said, "I feel so safe. I know I'll go to heaven when I die. I'll never forget this Halloween."
Wonderful memory.
Exactly.
The best Halloween
best
ever.
childhood memories you can possibly have.
Yeah.
When your friend gets hit by a car and goes to hell.
Yeah.
That's the
How
problem with
sweet.
this. They think people are capable of just forgetting all those people. You have loved ones, even family members, that are being tortured for eternity. Wouldn't that ruin heaven for you? But of course, I guess maybe they'll be erased from your memory or something. Wouldn't that?
I don't know.
That could be it. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's
Again,
just really.
Apparently, they're erased from your memory before you die, according to
according to this.
There's no way you can put a nice face on this. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a patently
it's
evil
horrid.
belief system.
So.
Yeah. Across the board.
And I really don't think these tracts convert that many people, even though they print tens of millions, actually hundreds of millions of them. As I read that on their
they're
site.
hilarious. And now this is one of the grimmer ones, but I mean, most of them are hysterical. And
these are slightly grimmer than some.
In the spirit of the season, we thought that we would bring a couple of really good horror stories.
Exactly, Halloween
on the show, and to tell you some really nasty, scary horror stories.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I got more.
All right, Arlo is
Let's
back.
go to those.
Okay, people. Without further ado, I think it is Holy Paraphernalia Mania time.
I'm wearing my bloodiest Christian T-shirt, authentic Christian T-shirt,
in the spirit of the holidays. This is crazy. This is an actual Christian T-shirt sold by Christians to Christians, right?
Dying to meet you. Isn't that gross? And the back, I'm not going to bother turning around. The back, you've seen it before on a previous show. They're whipping him and blood is just splashing all over the place. And it's not a joke. Everything I collect all kinds of T-shirts, and they're all authentic. They're all from Christian shops, and not just Christian stuff, but Buddhist temples and mosques and whatever I can find and order.
Okay, but what do we got today?
If we can pan over here, I want to explain a little bit more about the background of Chick Tract since we're on this. This will be mostly a Chick Tract day. And Chick Tracts are supposed to strike fear into the hearts of unbelievers, but, most of us, we just get a good kick out of it. Yeah. And that's why Jack...
Well, they do strike disgust into some of our hearts, I mean, clearly.
Most of us.
Have we got that shot yet? Okay, there we are. Yay!
Yeah, it's probably not very clear, but...
Oh, there we are.
Anyway, this is from their site. I was investigating Jack T. Chick's site. Or I like to call him Jackie Chick. And they have this page. Here's why Christians say Chick Tracts get read. What happens to Chick Tracts after you pass them out? And they have all these sections of testimonies, like pastors love Chick Tracts. I'm a pastor. I was saved in jail in 1984 after reading a Chick Tract. That was by email. We don't know if any of these are real, and there's some testimony. Your tracts planted the seed that led me to Christ. I was saved after seeing tons of tracts laying all over Walmart while working, shopping, etc. That's where you find these things. All over Walmart. You can just keep it on that camera there.
Yeah. Good. We'll stay on camera too for a while we do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
He couldn't resist a Chick Tract. In 1989, I was walking the streets of Nashville one night, and I happened upon This Was Your Life, laying on a grease spot in a parking lot. I read it, threw it down, and then came back and read it again. Signed, Texas.
Signed, Texas.
Good old boy.
And This Was Your Life.
It took me 20 minutes to read it.
I have some excerpts from that tract here. And you can see how this whole dealing with God works, how you get into hell. The Grim Reaper, pokes you in the butt, and you're like, and you fall down. And then here is an angel dumping him into flames of hell, which you can't see very clearly on this.
Oh, so angels carry damned people to hell.
They do. And
so they've got this thing, the relationship, heaven and hell. So it's all...
Oh, and of course, kids love Chick Tracts. Mm-hmm. Our church uses your Chick Tracts in our flea market witnessing ministry. It was Somebody Goofed that changed my life at age 12. Somebody Goofed is another Chick Tract. And no, many of the testimonies are age 12, age 14, age 15, mostly very young
Yeah, they get that young, impressionable age.
And from Somebody Goofed, there's a scene that I like where there is a fundamentalist pastor and this very reasonable person, it seems. The pastor says, all have sinned and come short of the grace and glory of God. He will not allow sin in his presence, being a righteous God. And then this reasonable dark-haired gentleman comes up and says, now wait a minute. God is a God of love. He wouldn't put his creatures in a hell. There's the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of man, remember? Very reasonable. Very nice.
Yeah, loving God.
Who would you agree with? Fundamentalist pastor or this nice gentleman in the black coat here?
Well,
you were wrong. And he pulls off his, he had this nice Carl Sagan-esque appearance, but he pulls off the mask, and you were wrong. You didn't accept Jesus Christ as your own Lord and personal Savior. And this is actually a theme over and over again in Chick Tracts, where you have, now there's a nice Colonel Sanders gentleman here, and he says, John, you need Christ in your life, but not yet. You still have plenty of time. You're only 62. You've got 8 years left. That's comforting. And then he falls off a cliff. Run. They both fall off a cliff.
Uh-oh.
And he's falling. But you told me I lived to be 70. I lied. And, of course, the Colonel Sanders mask comes flying off, and he's Satan or some kind of demon.
Wow. This is just weird. This is like a window into another world.
It's trying to make people really paranoid that, a third of the people in the world are... And if someone's nice and reasonable, they're a demon.
They're evil.
Yeah,
they're a demon trying to trick you. They're evil. And with an...
Prison ministries love Chick Tracts. When some of the guards saw the name Chick, they assumed that they were sexually oriented materials and gave them to me. At first, I was angry, but then later started to laugh and praise God. 2 of the guards started going to church, and one was gloriously saved. What about the other one? He wasn't gloriously saved.
The other one's still there looking for the porn.
Shamefully saved. And they have all kinds of sections. Shy people love tracts.
Many people hate tracts until they get saved. You used to turn my stomach. Now I support you wholeheartedly. From bondage to freedom, in parentheses, Catholicism to Christ.
Wow.
Is what,
there you go.
Is what
there
I
you
praise
go.
the Lord for.
Not real Christians.
Yeah, this is a little thing that that we haven't pointed out yet. The Jack Teacher, these are fundamentalist Protestants who pretty much think that the Catholic Church is the tool of Satan.
Yep.
So, in addition to being,
anything other than their publishing company is basically
anti-Semitic, anti-anybody else, they're vehemently anti-Catholic.
And they even found a testimony from a European. I can't believe it. Germans love Chick Tracts. Hispanic love Chick Tracts. I'm 15 and I go to Hispanic church. A lot of people that have joined our church have been born again by the Tracts. Oh boy. And here's one of the latest tracts about the evils of public school teachers.
Yeah, so just stay on camera 2 there for a while.
Yeah,
And this one's kind of goofy. Here's this evil secular school teacher. You flunked. I gave you an F. How dare you write about the 10 Commandments? But it's true, Miss Crawford. They even made a movie on it.
People call in the show and say that to us.
They made a movie on it. That's their argument. It's all a lie, Tim. This is the last straw. I don't believe a word of it. Who do you think you are? I know how to deal with your kind. I'm coming to talk to your parents tonight. I could suspend you for this.
So she goes to see the parents, and they're fundamentalist
Christians.
And guess what happens?
And here's what happened. They end up putting a guilt trip on her. They give her the lecture about how we're all sinners, and they say, and she disagrees, and he says, well, ever take home a paperclip from your classroom? So what does that make you? Yeah, but sigh, a thief. And she crouches on the floor and says, oh God, I've broken your laws. I'm a sinner. Please forgive me and let me go to heaven. I want to serve you. Thank you, Lord.
It's so freaking easy to convert people in these tracts.
I know. It's just like,
clip, boom, you're a Christian. Boom, you're a Christian.
Thank God.
It's a nice little alternate universe they live in where things like evidence are just sort of, that it's just a concept that doesn't exist or even need to, Evidence? What's that?
I love it.
You're a bad guy. But I don't believe in God. Well, you're bad. Oh, well, then now I do. It's like...
And she puts her arm around Timmy and says, thank God I flunked Timmy. Huh? If it wasn't for that, I would have died in my sins and gone to hell.
For that damn paperclip, I tell you. Amazing.
Happy ending.
And there's this one tract. It's
now there are several tracts that they don't distribute anymore. But we'll maybe get to those.
Most of these are still distributed though. Some of these I found on my car.
I like that movie.
This actually is based on The Exorcist. It's a chick tract version of The Exorcist. You might want to look it up at his website, chick.com.
Is it still on there?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're all on there.
Oh,
and so there's this demon named Verono who goes around flying into this evil soul, flying into people, taking them over, and making them claw people's faces off. And there's this woman possessed by a demon. It's real nasty. She's clawing his eyes out right there, and he's like, "Oh, help me, get her off of me!" And that's just a weird thing.
Wow.
And then on their site, they have this special portion that shows the scoreboard of all the gods that God has won in his battles with them.
Oh, so wait a minute. They're saying that these other gods actually exist?
It seems so.
And gods have... Okay.
Like, out of the sky came hail, also locusts. God hit Nut, the Egyptian god Nut, with these 2 plagues, and she was unable to protect the Egyptians. Their crops were ruined. The worst was yet to come. Darkness that could be felt covered the land for 3 days and 3 nights. God shot down Horus, the sun god. That was the 9th plague. So each plague was
the implication is that the ancient Egyptian gods were real gods?
It seems so. I mean,
wow.
And I mean, don't worship any other gods, but me.
Interesting.
They're real, but just don't worship them.
And we were talking about
they're just the wrong ones, yeah.
Angels whisking people off to the afterlife, and there's always all these nice depictions of here's an angel carrying this gentleman through outer space. You're going to face the Lord, John. I hope I've been good enough to make it. That was your big mistake. Oops, I think I'm in trouble. And then they show the Pope here. Thou shalt make unto thee graven images. And then he's, then millions of Catholics have been deceived. This is horrible news, God. Why didn't you warn me? And then there's God.
I don't want to interfere with your free will.
God is featured in this tract. I did. My servant who loved Roman Catholics gave you a tract that was that warned you about your false religion. I wanted you to know that your sins could be forgiven and you could be assured of heaven.
Well, isn't it nice that this all-powerful universe-creating deity, you know, it's the best he can do is rely on Chick Tracts.
Chick Tract distributors.
Yeah.
It's his way. The Lord works in mysterious, stupid ways.
Yeah.
And here's some depictions of supernatural happenings. Like, here's after the rapture, souls just shooting through the clouds. You know, you shed your clothes and your body shoot through the clouds. And then here's this one of hell, where all these demons of every kind, winged, horned, hooded druids, and they're throwing sinners into the lake of fire. Here's a gentleman being gnawed on by all these various characters, and there's the dragon from the Pokemon series back there.
Yeah. It is so bizarre to think that in this day and age, there are people who really believe that there are demons, these little creatures with horns and tails and wings and fangs, and you'll go to a place, and if you're not Christian, where they'll gnaw on you, and it's just so
this stuff is real.
Weird.
That's fanciful enough. It's fanciful enough they think this will convert people, but what's really unrealistic is why the conversions, they're just so orgasmic for these people. In these converting scenes, it's like, but God commandeth his love towards us, in that, while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. Don't stop, Kathy! It also says, for whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Don't stop. I don't even want to know
what the lead up to that was.
Or maybe I do. I don't know. That could be...
Oh, and the simplistic diagrams to make it so easy for us. Who loved you so much that he would leave his throne in heaven just for you? And who loved so much that he rose from the dead when he went back to heaven. And then, who loved you so much that he would put angels at your side to protect you? And there's the evil, thug waiting to mug this person. The angel's like, nope, not until I say. And then, who loves you enough that he would build you a gorgeous mansion in heaven to live in?
God? Okay. I'm just guessing. I mean, is there another page? Or? All right.
And there's some really weird things in here that I've never heard of before. Apparently, when people dream, there's this tract that shows people dreaming, and their dreams are recorded by damned souls in hell who write down their dreams, hand them up to heaven to angels, and say, here, analyze this. And the angels read this, and by interpreting your dreams handed to them from hell, they try to determine when's a good time to come to earth and convert you. And so here they feel, oh, we're going to wake this woman in the middle of the night. So this gentleman from heaven appears in her bedroom, and she's sleeping. He's like, Mildred! And it's just so funny. The other angel's waiting outside. Eek! Good, he's made contact. It's almost as if it's supposed to be funny. I think maybe he was trying to be funny in there.
Did I mention that atheists love Chick Tracts? Please, if you any that you have,
don't throw them out when the people
no,
to you.
No,
do not throw them away.
Collect them, gather them up. We want them. We want as many as we can get their So that's like these angels, like in the movie Stakeout, right? They're just.
I got to do at least a couple more.
Just weird.
And on the website, chick.com, they have witnessing ideas that they share with you.
Yeah.
Here's some suggestions.
Okay.
Leave tracts on amusement park rides, on phone booths, in dressing rooms, in public restrooms, in the pockets of clothes.
Wait a minute, like other people's? You have to walk up and...
Well, not in your own. I think they mean to just reach in people's pockets.
Just place
I wonder if they made a department store clothes or something like that.
Maybe.
When
you go and try on that pair of jeans.
Then I'd return it. In bad neighborhoods.
Well, no, I'd go back and start raiding pockets.
In abortion clinics. In Koreatowns,
Chinatowns, etc. Because, those Asians, they need
converting.
Those evil Shintoists, yeah.
When paying bills, enclose a tract with your payment. They're just asking to get overcharged.
Yeah.
Place tracts.
Please turn my electricity back on. I have no money, but here's this Chick Tract.
It gets goofier. Place tracts in night drop boxes at the drive-through cylinders of banks.
All right.
Leave tracts in rental shoes. I guess they mean at the bowling alley.
Hell rent shoes? Well, I mean, for tuxedos, yeah, but...
They'll just stick
bowling, yeah.
They won't smell very good. Place tracts in library books.
Of the Lord.
Wrap them in plastic and toss them on driveways.
That's littering.
That's like... Yeah, how's that any worse than stealing a paperclip?
Custom order tracts, minimum order 10,000
copies per title. But I grant you can get an assortment pack.
Oh,
you can't choose what they are. If you want to choose what you are, you got to get 10,000.
Well, still 10,000. That's
it's meant for like churches. I think if you get 10,000, you can get them custom printed on the back with your church name and address and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh well, how nice.
So
we'll get some. We should get some with the Atheist Community of Austin printed on the back.
Yeah,
I wonder if he would do that. I mean, I think if you pay him, I think he'd do it.
Yeah, he would think that we were all changing our minds, and we're.
Yeah, we need to research this further.
For that purpose, yeah.
The most common tract is "This Was Your Life."
Yeah.
Yes.
Over 57 million copies have been printed of this booklet alone in over 60 languages.
That's wild.
What a waste of paper.
Yeah.
Jesus commanded us, "Go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature." And that's supposed to be a plug for Chick Tracts in the Bible, I guess, is the way Jack T sees it.
Yeah.
With Chick Tracts, you can give the gospel to more people than you ever thought possible. Apparently, in some just one picture says, "Oh, I love that picture." But God made them leave the garden because they did something naughty. And then it shows an angel with a giant flaming sword, chasing them around.
Naughty.
In the end times, Israel will play a vital role in Bible prophecy. Satan's man, the beast, or the Pope, which this obviously is, will arise out of Rome as the world leader. More about Rome.
Wow.
Israel's deadliest enemy is the Vatican. Israel will regret any agreements with Rome. God will destroy the Vatican just before the second coming of the Messiah.
Do they have a scripture there?
And, no, they're just giving a note that Hitler worked closely with the Jesuits, which is true.
Well, yeah, that is true. I mean, the Vatican helped them, hoard Jewish gold, didn't they?
Yeah. And Hitler was Catholic and all that. And they list all these African countries here, and they say, all these African nations have just two things in common. One, they all broke diplomatic relations with Israel. Two, they all suffered in the terrible famine and drought caused by the expanding Sahara Desert.
Make a connection there, isn't it sick? And they show this man, the starving man holding his starving or probably dead child. It's just saying, well, that's what they get for breaking relations with Israel.
See, and this is what now we're getting really creepy stuff, right? Because we have, the Republican Party right now, who are scarifyingly close to controlling the whole government. Okay. Which is why, people who care about America remaining free and secular need to get out and vote. Yeah, need to get out and vote. But it has actually been mentioned in polls and in surveys that the reason the majority of Americans, right, believe that we need to stick with Israel and be sort of unilaterally on their side in this whole creepy Middle East conflict has to do with these biblical myths about Israel being, the chosen peoples, God's chosen people, their special land, and these are folks who, believe in the Armageddon prophecies of Revelation and would kind of like maybe to see this big end of the world war come along because they think that it will bring back Jesus.
Because there aren't many rational arguments to support Israel.
I mean, these people really believe that stuff, and that's why they're supporting Israel. They're not supporting out of any sort of current political considerations at all. It's all about, the Bible and Revelation says this.
You can interpret the Bible to read that this should happen. So
that's one way the Bible is causing so much damage, pain, and suffering right now.
Exactly.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And, isn't it just a little bit creepy that we have a president, who is this fundamentalist Christian, who is really eager to start a new war in the Middle East, which is already the most war-ravaged place in the world, and he just wants to bring more war there.
And if he's not doing it because he's Christian, he's doing it because there's a lot of Christians that support him.
Yeah.
Either way.
And it is just really, really disturbing. So, we need to vote. Atheists need to vote. So, anyway, wow. Well, thank you. Now, see, now we were amused, and now
there's always more, but
now we're scared again for Halloween.
If anyone wants to call in, they can go ahead and interrupt me.
We can go ahead and put the phone number up for live calls and
because I'm coming near the end here.
Yeah, just
I have a few more things.
Yeah, let calls start lining up and everything. And there's a number to call us live. And so, what else do we have as we close in towards? Wow. See, that's the thing. It's funny and it's scary at the same time. It was perfect for Halloween.
There's some scenes in Chick Tracts that take place in hell, and here's some sinners in hell saying, "Why isn't Charlie down here with us?" And the angel appears and says, because he accepted Christ when he was 9 years old. You mean he knew about hell and he never warned us? And then they show Charlie in heaven looking down at the people burning in hell, and there's a big angel there. Look how tall he is. And he says, they all have one thing in common now. What's that? They all will burn forever. And then they're watching God rejecting his friends and family into hell. Depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire. Oh, how I wish I could have reached them. And then this woman walks up and says, why didn't you give them tracts? Tracts? Are you serious? And then she plugs Tracts right here. When I was too shy or didn't have time, I just gave them a tract. The most effective tracts I used were the illustrated ones. They're called chick tracts. Yeah.
He's actually promoting himself now more than the... Well, no, he equates Christianity with himself.
Right.
And so he... wild. Really bizarre.
And the best thing about
conversion
chick tracts
through fear, people. Yeah.
They have God's guarantee. I did not fabricate this. They actually had this on the site. The picture of God. God's guarantee.
You have to send in like a little rebate card.
I love how they depict God.
Yeah.
Look how they depict God and Jesus. It's just like him, a little bit shorter. And then here's God, and this is probably too small to see, but all the little people who are just so tiny compared to his presence.
Wow, and they're these blank-faced kind of nothings.
That's creepy.
Which is weird. Yeah.
And then there's a nice scene with children converting and begging God not to throw them in the fire, and even the cat and dog are praying. This is getting really fanciful.
Okay.
Now there's so much hypocrisy in chick tracts, because when they have this bit about the evil Chinese communists, they say, at the cost of millions of dollars, communist propaganda in the form of cartoons were printed to influence the Asiatics. Their success was fantastic.
Wait a minute. Yeah. Who else is doing that?
Yeah.
And they have these kids reading the communist propaganda. I guess communism has all the answers. Mao is right. This must be true.
That's exactly what Jack is dreaming that his
readers are doing.
This weird little world where like a little 10-page badly drawn comic will just change people's minds in a flash.
It works for communism. Hey, great for Christianity.
Yeah, so that's it.
This is one of my favorite ones. It's a tract called The Beast,
which is all about the end times and Revelations. It's very similar to the Omega Code. It's like the comic book version of
Okay.
Metago and the Omega Code, all those fundamentalist movies about the end times.
Right.
And here you see everyone's like being drowned in blood, and this guy's trying to crawl out. He's grabbing a stick, but that won't work. God sends a snake out of the ground to bite him, and a little trick up his sleeve.
Wow.
And then here's when all the physical bodies start shooting out of the graves, as depicted in Revelations. It says the dead will rise, even though many parts of the Bible it says the dead will not rise. Flying through the clouds, and of course the Vatican is going to be destroyed.
Of course.
It's the first thing to go. And it becomes this real sci-fi adventure where everyone shall receive my mark, and with the use of computers, the beast will be able to control every person on the globe.
Wow.
Here's a gentleman who doesn't have the 666 tattooed on his forehead.
Many interpretations of the mark of the beast, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Jack T. Chick interprets it as
an actual the number on your head.
Mark on the forehead.
That's good old biblical literalism.
And they drive around this little golf cart with
a guillotine on the back of it, beheading people who don't have the 666.
As if people couldn't rebel against that. That's the oppressive force.
It's a golf cart with a guillotine attached to it. Like you couldn't just tip it over.
Executioner make house calls. Yeah, yeah. It's not like you couldn't get in a real car and outrun it.
Now here's something good for Halloween. The world becomes one gigantic witches' coven. Ooh. Satanism is already saturating the world, and he shows that in the end times there's going to be like Dracula and vampires, and here's a giant wolf attacking Little Red Riding Hood.
Fairy tale, hello. This is a fairy tale.
Wow. Man, boy, this is...
And then the other,
you couldn't make this stuff... Well, this is great.
1/3 of the world is going to be poisoned. 1/3 of the waters is going to turn to blood, and ships will sink. And here are the locusts. The Bible says locusts will, fly out of the earth and attack everyone.
And this is probably too small to see, but the Revelations idea of locusts, if you read it carefully, is these really bizarre creatures with dragonfly wings, tail of a scorpion,
and a human head with a crown.
The head of a human head, the hair of a woman, and metal breastplates, And it's not a locust like the bug that we think of. It's something
way creepier.
Jeez.
What can you add to that?
Way more
we
fictional.
don't have to say anything anymore. Yeah.
And here we go. Here's Rome burning to the ground. There's a Vatican in flames.
Bye-bye, Vatican. Bye-bye.
God moves 10 leaders to rebel against the beast. In their hatred of the great horror at Revelations, they destroy the Vatican by fire. There is great rejoicing in heaven.
Wow.
Yay!
Yeah, boy, we were really getting sick of that damn Sistine Chapel ceiling thing. Amazing. Anyway, let's go ahead and go talk to some callers now. It's getting about that time.
Sure.
Actually, we're late taking calls today, but you know, we had fun stuff to talk about today. So, Mike is on line 3. Mike?
Hey, how's it going?
We're all right. What's up?
I just wanted to, first of all, say y'all have a very good and interesting show.
Thank you.
Very informative. And those tracks are pretty funny. I've seen them before. Also, my question was, not that this really would support Christianity in any way, but I was just wondering, do y'all, like, discount thousands of people's experiences with ghosts? Y'all don't think ghosts exist, even though supposedly thousands of people all over the world have had experiences with them?
6 billion people in the world. I mean, wouldn't you expect there would be about 1,000 people for any supernatural thing?
Well, I mean, if you go with empirical evidence like science does, and that's pretty empirical.
But the thing is, it's not really. I mean, it's a one of the principles of science is that anecdotal evidence really isn't evidence. If it's just somebody saying, "Oh, this happened to me," well, that's fine. But what you're talking about there are irreproducible results. You know, you cannot. It's not something, a person's claim, "Oh, I saw this apparition and I didn't know what it is, so I think it's a ghost." You can't test that.
But do you think all those people are just making that up?
I think
all thousands of them.
Some of them.
I think that what ghosts are, ghosts are a byproduct of our religious culture, and it's a byproduct of the belief of life after death. And you know, life after death has been a huge selling point for religion for thousands of years, even in pre-Christian traditions, you know, with the Egyptians and what have you. And ghosts are just a byproduct of a culture in which the belief in an afterlife is encouraged. And so I think paranormal claims, I describe them in many ways. Usually it's people experiencing something, but they're interpreting it to fit their desires. You know, they're taking a natural phenomenon and they're misinterpreting it. Or they're people who are just delusional, or they're people who are lying to get attention. Now, I think the majority of them are people who may very well be actually experiencing something, but they don't understand what they're experiencing. So what they do is they go back to either their religious beliefs or whatever they've been taught about, you know, an afterlife or a God or a heaven or what have you, and those beliefs sort of inform the way they interpret an experience that they don't really understand what they experienced. But it's well known that people have, in fact, everybody has them. You have things like waking dreams, where you're sort of asleep and awake, and
lucid
you can have
dreams.
Yeah, or lucid
Those
dreams,
are cool.
Hypnagogic, hypnopompic hallucinations.
The brain is an incredibly powerful tool.
Yeah.
I mean, it messes up occasionally, and you see things that aren't really there. I mean, I have those dreams when I'm half awake, half asleep all the time, and I'll dream that, you know, something's going on, and I get up and it'll take me a minute or two, you know, up running around the apartment before I finally decide, oh man, go back to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning.
But the problem with ghosts as a concept right now is if the way to test if there was some aspect of our bodies that survived death, some aspect of our personalities, you know, there should be a way to test that, and there's absolutely nothing about what we know in biology that supports the idea that there is something in our physiology or in our body or in our brain that keeps going and that still exists somewhere after you die. There's just no evidence to back it up. So I think a lot of it is just, it's people interpreting things or telling stories, and it's all based upon just a thousands and thousands of years old culture of believing in an afterlife.
Yeah, well, I tend to agree with you, but one last point. Einstein did say that pure energy never dies. It just takes on a different form or something to that effect.
That's right. I'll have to look at that.
But what does that have to do with ghosts?
Well, I mean, it would just mean that, like, if we're like electrical energy, then we would just, once we die, we would go take on a different form.
But we're not really electrical energy. I mean, we're physical beings. We have physical bodies. Now, our minds work with it's the way our consciousness is the result of electrochemical activity in our brains. But there's no reason to think that when we die and that electrical activity stops, it's any different than if you have, you know, a power outage and your computer goes out. Okay, if you're writing on your computer and then the power goes out and the letter, your computer shuts down, well, your letter, it's just gone. I mean, it's not, the letter that you were writing isn't floating around in some limbo of lost letters. I mean, it's just the information that was actually in there just doesn't exist anymore. The physical thing exists, but because the energy that was powering it is gone, the stuff that's in there is gone.
What Einstein meant was, a measurable amount of energy. Like if you have a candle flame, energy is concentrated in one point. You blow the candle out, the energy disperses, but it's not a flame anymore. The flame no longer exists.
Yeah, okay.
And the same for consciousness.
Yeah.
Good point. Have y'all seen that movie Waking Life?
No, I haven't. I'm kind of interested to. I'm kind of interested to.
Pretty good. I saw it just a few days ago. You should check it out.
Yeah,
anyways, good show. Y'all take it easy.
Thanks for the call. Interesting questions. Very cool. Okay, Robert is on line 1, so we'll see what he has to say. Robert.
Yeah.
Hi, you're on the air.
Yeah, about those tracks. I believe my dad, he actually is a wannabe fundamentalist Christian. I'm on the atheist side, so we don't really speak, but
that's a shame.
he read the chick tracks a while ago or something to the extent of that, and he decided to come out with his own, and he's going by a pen name also. I won't say his real name, but his pen name is Don F. Young, and that's supposed to be, DFY, died for you.
Oh, okay.
And his are, he's calling his dick tracks just a play. I mean, he's just totally copying them. I think Ashley knows
really, that's not meant to be a parody?
But I guess, but he,
This sounds like a joke, but I hope you're right.
No, but they're basically about about sexual ideals within Christianity.
Sexual ideals within Christianity?
As far as no sex before marriage and that sort of thing, and he's just kind of taking that. I don't know how to say it, but I mean, he's just kind of going on and on with that, and just trying to. I don't know. I think he's basically a hypocrite, but.
Where does he hand them out at? Has he actually printed any?
Well, he's printed them, but he it's not with like the Walmart thing or anything like that.
Is there a website all over Walmart?
I don't know the whole thing behind it, but basically he's just taking this and running. I just want to know. I'm trying to get him to stop this because frankly, it's embarrassing. I mean, we don't.
I can imagine why. Yeah.
I mean, the pictures in these are just so crazy. I mean, like even compared to like those other ones that you guys are showing, those freaky ones.
Step beyond.
The name alone. I mean, if these things are real, he's probably maybe missing the point. But,
yeah, I think so. But
well, if there's any way we could we'd love to see them. If any of these are real,
I'll try to find them and. Get you guys some, but I just want to know if there's anything you guys could suggest me telling him to try to get him to, cool it a little bit.
Well, sometimes the best thing, I mean, what I would say is, it's not like you got to convert someone away from Christianity or anything like that. It's just to make the point that these tracks aren't working. I mean, they don't reach a wide enough audience. I mean, it's such a marginal audience, I think, that would actually be affected by this. It's just a big waste of time.
Yeah, it really seems to be like a preaching to the choir sort of thing. Because it's not as if these chick tracks, really, the arguments that they mount are not sophisticated enough to stand up to even like 2 seconds of skepticism. So they're being written by people who I think don't really know how to argue to a true skeptic. So that's why they don't work. Of course, but, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't feel right like telling you, things to tell your dad.
No, it's cool. He's a son of a bitch.
Oh well.
Of course, I would say I'd tell him to keep on going because I like collecting this stuff. It's funny.
Yeah, I mean, if eventually, again, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It is also important just to remember that this is your dad. I mean, it is a family relationship, and so it would be kind of nice to be able to put this stuff aside, and hopefully him also put it aside and say, look, okay, we disagree on this point. That's fine, but again, still keep at least a family relationship going on.
Well, there's no way to. I mean, if sometimes families fall out.
Yeah,
but it's different for every family. But I don't know. I think that if he's really committed to doing this, the only thing you can't really tell him not to. I mean, he just needs to, I guess, keep going on his path, and maybe. If it just continues to be completely futile and silly, he'll just eventually either come to his senses or he won't, and he'll end up blowing all his money printing these silly tracks. Hopefully he comes around. Maybe he's just going through some. That's what parents always say. Who's going through a phase? Maybe your dad's going through a phase. Who knows? But I don't know. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and go on to the next caller. But
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it. And
I want to add something to this, though. You know, the whole thing with evangelism. Me and my wife have something to celebrate because she is from Latvia, where they don't have fundamentalists preaching in the streets, and
my wife must be a very bizarre country to her.
My wife Gandega was proselytized to for the first time, and we celebrated. And she handled it very well. A girl just out of the blue, a girl goes, "Have you heard of the Gospels of Jesus Christ?" And
some total stranger.
Yeah.
Well, that's usually how it is, right?
And they got into a little bit of debate about contradictions, and she got into a debate with me about contradictions. But she made a point that was, this argument, it's a classic. Her argument was that, okay, if there's so many contradictions in the Bible, and you think that the Bible was written by men who just wanted people to believe these things, then why would they write so many contradictions in it? Explain that. And I think, no, I can't explain it. You're saying that because the Bible is so terribly written, it has so many contradictions that a mere mortal human could not achieve this task. Only a supernatural being. Is that what you're saying? And she's like, well, no, I mean, I believe there are only apparent contradictions, which means nothing.
Which means that she hasn't read the Bible. She certainly hasn't read the Gospel with its 4 completely contradictory accounts
we talked
of
about
the resurrection.
We talked about that. We even talked about how different people would come up to the tomb.
But wait a minute. Angels. She was suggesting that because the Bible has so many contradictions, why would these men have put these contradictions in there on purpose?
Exactly.
To fool you if they really wanted to believe. And of course, the answer to that is, look, the Bible wasn't like all written down in a 2-month period like a Stephen King novel.
And some guys go wrong.
These are sources taken from many, many different origins.
And it sure as hell wasn't written by God either.
And there was a 200-year period of ecclesiastical debating and arguing and hand-waving to determine the actual canon of the New Testament.
Well, their argument against that, though, is it was divinely inspired in King James' time. So it's
so suddenly, hundreds of years later,
it was all fixed right there and then. Yet it's such a mess to read. Why are there even apparent contradictions if they're just apparent? Why, every other verse is an apparent contradiction. We were standing right by Barnes and Noble, and I pointed. I said, "There's a bookstore full of hundreds of thousands of books. Pick up and read any of those books. They won't have apparent contradictions. They were written by people to give a point, to show a point, whether you're reading about Europe or the Boy Scouts or whatever you want to read about. You can read about it, and it's clear. It's plain as day. The Bible comes nothing near to what humans write in this day of age.
Well, and besides,
we can't screw things up that royally.
If what the Christians claim is true, which is that this is the divinely inspired writing of an all-powerful, flawless, perfect being, it wouldn't even have apparent contradictions. Okay, there would be not a single error. Right? It would be completely consistent and correct and verifiable all the way through. And it's not. You get this this bizarre McDonald's menu of all different kinds of stories, talking about this, that, and the other thing, and one will completely fly in the face of the other. And it's clear to anybody who reads it with a critical eye that that's what's going on.
Now, she said she watched the show, so if you're watching now, do you remember her name? No. Okay, well,
I hope she's watching. Call the show.
Yeah, definitely.
So she said, okay, well then she should.
But to be fair about the Gospels, like I was talking about the one where first Mary goes to the tomb alone, then Mary goes with 2 other women, and then there's a whole group of
7 to 11
But she
women.
said, oh no, what you do is add all the people together. I said, well, what about once there was one angel in the tomb, and another time there was an angel in the tomb, and an angel sitting on a stone. Another time there were 2 angels in the tomb. She said, well.
One time
maybe
the tomb
one
was
guy
open.
didn't see the angel on the stone. It's like as if.
Well, you've heard the other explanation I've heard from that in Lee Strobel's book, The Case for Faith. It talks about that, saying sometimes there's one, sometimes there's many. Well, when you have more than one, that always includes one. So if there weren't 3 people there was also one person there.
Okay, well, what about the Book of John that says that Mary turned up alone and then went and and found the tomb already open? No angels there. Went back and got 2 disciples.
Yeah.
And the disciples aren't accounted for in the other 3 Gospels.
I actually said that, and she said, well, give me chapter and verse, and I couldn't come up with it at the time.
Well,
but it's in there.
It's towards the end of John. It's in John. That's how it happens in John.
But it's good to, when people bring that argument, it's good to present the things that are absolutely contradictory, like Jesus was crucified in a purple robe or crucified in a scarlet robe. I mean, just before he was crucified, what's the robe he wore? Because her big point was that, oh no, anything you read it, if you understand it's apparent, it will all make sense. And it's like, you can do that with anything, because you can say he was wearing a red robe under the purple robe, or it was purple and red stripes.
If you're willing to just make excuses and say that if you just decide that a contradiction isn't really a contradiction, it's just a thing that complements another thing.
You can justify it anyway.
Yeah, you can do that to defend any wacky piece of writing that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, let's see what. Okay, Roby is online too. Has been holding for a while. Roby.
Robbie.
Yeah. Okay, sorry.
How are you guys?
We're okay. What's up?
Did you read October the 22nd, a paper about the Not a Typical House of Horrors by the Promised Land Church?
I've seen those in previous years. I don't know the specific one you're talking about, but I have seen them before.
Is that Hell House or is this a different one?
Oh, well, they built this House of Horrors for Halloween. It has kids in trench coats shooting and have smoking guns and.
Yeah, that's what. There's a Hell House in Dallas. Are you saying there's a new one, a different one?
Yeah, here in town.
Here in town.
Oh, in town.
Yeah,
Gee, we gotta go.
I gotta go. Cool. We gotta go.
ACA road trip.
It cost you $10, and everybody, and this one girl says she doesn't feel the same after she went in there. She had to pay $10, and they have drunken driving, domestic violence, abortion, school shootings, and the devil himself scares the wits out of groups of 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, you really like that?
Now, look, I'm all for having a really good scare on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
That's the point. But, when you start taking impressionable little children and saying, oh, the thing we're scaring you with, is real, and you'll burn forever if you're not part of the club.
That's traumatic.
Okay, that's psychological abuse is what that is.
Yeah. And over here to continue it over here on the back, it says that they do it to make them get religion.
Well, of course, yeah. That's just like the Hell House.
This is good for everybody, and everybody should come and see it. The Promised Land. It's in the 22nd October in the Metro.
Are you reading from do you have actually like a handout or something?
No, it's in the newspaper, Austin American Statesman.
Oh, it's in the Statesman today? There's an ad for it?
On the 22nd.
On the 22nd. I'd like to get a copy of that.
Yeah, we want to know about this. We want to go. I mean, I think we should make like an ACA
Let me read where
well, no. Let's not give them an actual plug.
Okay.
But it's called the Promised Land, or
yeah, Promised Land.
Why don't you send an email to us, like if you can, or contact us some other way.
Okay, I'll bring it down there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And
get the information to us that way, and then we'll try to arrange for. Of course, we need to do it soon because Halloween's coming up, so it needs to be this week sometime. But
yeah, I'll get it down there.
It'd be good if we all go at once.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, I'll drop it off down at the bagel shop.
Well, see, we won't be there. That'll be after Halloween. So we'll. Why don't you tell you what? After we're off the air, call the show back.
Same phone number.
Yeah, same phone number. After we're off the air, and we'll go ahead and get that like address information for you, and then we'll talk about it like at Gamers tomorrow night and do like an email thing on our mailing list.
Okay.
And see about it. But thanks for the info. We really that's to be bizarre. Wow. Yeah. The Hell House in Metroplex Atheists every year they go to the Hell House up in Dallas, and they report on it on their website, and it's really been interesting. And there was a documentary that was made and released about Hell House. And it played at the film festival here locally, but I understand it's starting to get regionally distributed. And apparently it's an amazing documentary because it's not like a Michael Moore documentary where he goes into like blow the lid off stuff. The guy just goes and shoots it, and he doesn't editorialize. He just shows you how crazy and bizarre this all is. Okay, and there's this one scene apparently where one of the ministers of this church that sponsors the Hell House, he has this big family, and they're interviewing him, and his youngest boy starts to have an epileptic seizure. Like right there on camera. So they call like EMTs and everything. And then the boy's seizure stops, okay, which they do. Yeah. And Dad goes, "Oh, good, it's a miracle from God." Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And then there's like, there's this EMT is like working on the little boy in the background while Dad is in the foreground telling the cameraman how God is saving his son.
God gave his son the epileptic seizure.
Yeah, not
where did the seizure come from?
Yeah, not a single question as to why does God let my boy have seizures in the first place. This weird selective thinking.
Free will.
Yeah. You don't want to interfere with free will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has the right to have an epileptic.
Yeah. Anyway, we do have more phones. We do have the phone lines are full, but we're still waiting for more names. So anyway, we'll talk to Phil on 3 while we get the other names. Hello, Phil.
Hey, Martin,
you're on the air. How you doing? So thanks for waiting.
Hey, okay. Hey, Ashley, how's it going?
Hey, what's up?
I had a question for Arlo about the chick tracts.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know if minorities were ever depicted at all, and if they were in any positive light.
No. There's some. I was looking at some chick tracts in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
And they're different.
Oh,
they're
really?
always all about Well, all the tracts are about scaring, but I mean, they're much more heavy. They're much more on the Catholic side. They talk more about demon possession, and it seems to try to attack the occult more. I think that, I guess they feel that their Hispanic audience maybe is more into astrology or whatever. It's slightly different, but I have one handout that illustrates this.
So are they actually different tracts for the Spanish market? I thought they were just the same tracts, but just translated.
Well, no, well, not always chick tracts though. But
okay,
this is a good example. This was handed to me. Here, I'll put it here. This was handed to me when I was on the east side, and there was a big event going on where people could get drinks for free and food for free on the east on South Congress. Sorry, and here they have this pamphlet that says, "Where will you spend eternity?" And it shows nice fluffy clouds and has all these nice quotes about heaven.
Nice.
And on the reverse side is in Spanish, Eternidad, and it shows flames of hell. And all these quotes are about, I don't speak Spanish, but El Inferno, I think, is referring to hell, right?
Yeah. Well, you can look up those verses. Right? Don't they have the verses right there, and you can look them up right there in the Bible.
Right, like Psalms 19:17, 14:1.
Psalms 19:17?
Yeah. And so, apparently, that they feel that, when you're talking to English speakers, you entice them with heaven, and I guess they feel that, speaking to the Hispanic community, they have to scare the shit.
There is no Psalm 19:17.
I just never seen...
yeah, there's
a couple of them, Arlo, and I've never seen any minorities depicted in the actual comics themselves. And
I've seen one that has no dialogue. Let me see that thing. There's one that has no dialogue that has like a little... Psalmos 9:17. Okay, that might be Solomon.
Okay.
Where it's like this little poor girl in some shanty community or something, and she's hungry and she's starving.
Yeah, I think it's called Shoes, the Shoes or something like that.
It might be, yeah, and it's real heart wrenching, and she's this adorable little girl with big eyes, but then she dies, but she's saved at the last minute before she dies or something. But there's no dialogue, but clearly that's meant to be like this little third world country little girl. And so that's a depiction of a racial not in her country it's a minority, but still. So I guess that it would make sense that they would tailor them for the very market that they're talking about.
But the ones we see here in the States, as far as being English, seem to have a waspy aspect to them, I guess you'd say.
Oh, well, yeah. Are there any that have African Americans in them? Have you seen any?
Never seen it.
Never seen any with a black person?
No.
That's an added layer of spookiness, I feel.
Okay.
They have Asian people sometimes because they're Buddhists who are damned to hell.
These two top ones here on the Spanish language side are about heaven.
Oh, but we know what this one.
Yeah, but then this bottom one is these bottom two are hell. Yeah, these bottom it says and El Inferno, so I guess that has to do with
hell. Kind of find it a little bit telling also on the English side. Where will you spend eternity? There's hope God really cares for you. Where will you spend your life after you die?
It's assuming they're already headed to hell.
Yeah, where will you spend eternity depends on you.
Okay, so you can read some Spanish there. Why haven't you been reading this whole time?
I haven't had Spanish in like 10 years.
Well, but that was better than us. So. Speak up, Ashley.
I've forgotten a lot of it.
Yeah. I don't know. And it's I wonder if the fact that the Hispanic community is very. Why am I handing you that? Large. You keep the Holy Paraphernalia. That's why. It's largely Catholic.
Yeah. And
so maybe there's a lot. Catholicism is big in that culture, and so I'm wondering why. Maybe if that has, they think that they need to take a harder line with the Hispanic community. Who knows?
It makes sense.
Yeah. Weird.
Whip them into submission, that kind of thing.
Must be. Yeah. Eat. Run. Be very afraid.
Okay, guys, I'm going to let you go. Great show. Great
Thursday. Thanks a lot for your call.
Okay. I realized I could have been using my Bible this time. A friend of me handed this. It's the Extreme Faith version. And it shows extreme faith, and there's kids doing extreme sports while holding Bibles. It's very hard to do.
Wait a minute.
See, extreme faith version.
Well, that takes some...
bring your faith to the next level. Bring it
show that to the camera there.
Doesn't make extreme everything nowadays.
Yeah, everything's got to be
extreme in the Bible.
Extreme Sports Illustrated. Extreme Bible.
Starring Vin Diesel as Jesus.
And I was reading it, and it's slightly.
Well, they have it do they have it translated into like a MTV speak or something?
No, Pat Robertson came out with a book called, what was it? It was just called The Book or something, and it was like toned up to be for it's like slang and stuff.
But is this like the TRL version of the Bible here, or? Well, who knows? We'll see what Tim has to say while we figure that out. Tim, you're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Martin, Ashley?
Hey.
You say, okay, that you were talking about earlier that how God punishing and the Bible's punishment on people, that's like, I guess, cruel or wrong, right?
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The extent of the punishment is the main problem that I have. I could understand that, you know, if there were a God and he had certain rules, you break them. You know, in certain circumstances, getting punished for that, that's fine. You get punished as a human all the time. But to say that everybody deserves, you know, anyone who sins deserves to burn in a lake of fire for all eternity.
And that's everyone.
You know,
everyone, period.
Yeah,
exactly.
Everyone, period.
I simply don't believe in God, and so I deserve that. You know, mass murders killed 26 people deserve the exact same thing I do. Are they getting off light, or am I getting off really, you know, or am I being, you know, shafted here?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
something's not quite fair in that whole
but there's something even deeper at the root of it than that, which is that it is simply morally wrong to threaten someone in order to get them to conform to your wishes or commands or your desires. Okay? That's called terrorism. Okay? When you say, do what I say or you'll get hurt, okay, that's a threat. And that's what terrorists do, and it's patently evil. Okay? I mean, if Christianity were this religion about hope and love, right, it wouldn't need hell. Okay? Heaven would be enough. Because you could say, hey, look, you know, come be a Christian and accept Jesus, and you get to go to this wonderful paradise afterlife, and everything's perfect and fine, and it's great. Well, and you get to be happy forever, and you know, and that ought to be enough, appealing to a person's better nature. But the problem is, Christianity doesn't believe that people have a better nature. Christianity believes that people are innately sinful and corrupt from birth. Like babies, the minute out of the womb, you're born into sin, and if that baby dies in the crib, that baby is parboiling in hell.
Okay.
Right? And that, to me, is just a completely sinister and evil belief system.
Okay, that's true. However...
It's true?
That's true.
Well, in terms of...
However, the Bible teaches the best way to live. Good morals,
Yikes.
Values, ethics.
Have you read the Bible?
Have you actually read it?
So stoning your child a disobedient child to death is the best way to live? Killing a woman who is not a virgin on her wedding night, that's the best way to live?
Well, hold on a second.
She has to marry her rapist?
Let me finish this
No.
point.
You said that the Bible gives the best way to live, okay? Now, among the biblical commands are that if a woman is not a virgin on her wedding night, she should be killed. If children dishonor their parents, they should be killed, okay? You're saying that
the thing is that you're not looking at is, well, let me make this point. If you are living other than the way the Bible teaches,
okay,
then you would be living wrong.
Okay, so because I don't kill women who aren't virgins on their wedding night, and because I don't kill children who are disrespectful, I'm living wrong.
Well,
good for you.
You see, the thing is that
no, the thing is nothing.
The guidelines of the Bible, like adultery and fornication, those types of things God made laws against because those types of things destroy family structure, destroy families. I mean, a woman has an affair, they divorce, the children have have a broken home, and then it extends, and then it becomes even apparent in the community. People see that, and then, you know...
Okay, look, I don't have a problem with the moral dictates that happen to be in the Bible. That makes sense, okay, that you can look at them, and you can say, okay, yeah, that has a practical application. But then I look at these other biblical commands, like a lot of the Mosaic laws, and I look at, that I've already mentioned, I look at this whole idea, the very concept of it's not enough that you're a good person, it's not even enough that you believe in God. You have to be a card-carrying member of the Christian faith, and you have to belong to the church, and you have to accept Jesus, and you have to do all of these things, and if you don't do this laundry list of things, you deserve an eternity of torment for that.
Well, that's just it. I mean, God has strict laws because there are those out there who refuse to do right.
Wait a minute.
Martin, how would you deal with Jeffrey Dahmer?
Jeffrey Dahmer, I would do exactly what was done with him. I would throw him in prison for his life.
Well, that's torture. That's torture.
No,
You're condemning
okay.
Christians for doing something you do yourself.
Others. It's
Look,
not to get back
this
at the
person, okay, you want to give Dahmer, here's the idea of Dahmer, okay, I mean, here's the facts about Dahmer. This guy did really bad stuff, okay? So if you throw him in jail because he killed 20 people, that's punishment for actual crimes. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're throwing him in a jail. That's not torture. Torture is if you were to, like, you know, use bamboo shoots under his nails or something, or throw him in fire forever. But that wasn't
torture,
done.
man. Either way you look at it.
And you're saying that he didn't do a thing to merit that?
He merited that. Okay.
Okay, but what did he do to merit it? What did he do to merit it? He was a murderer.
Yes.
Okay, that's a lot. Okay, the Bible, you don't have to be a murderer, according to the Bible, to deserve an eternity of hell. You have to just not be a Christian.
Well,
okay,
no. See,
wait a minute. No, what? No, what? Wait a minute. So do Jews get to go to heaven if they don't convert to Christianity? Do Jews get to go to heaven?
According to the Bible, I'm not
certain
Revelations
because Jesus was a Jew.
I'm sorry?
I'm not certain on that because Jesus was a Jew.
Okay, fine. Islamic.
Okay, do Muslims get to go to heaven when they die?
Shintoists, Buddhists.
Well, that
Atheists.
I don't know. I'm quite sure if you're... I'd have to look and see what the precedents are or the limitations.
Okay.
Okay, I know what it talks about as far as sin, but if you're a good person and you're a Muslim, I can't see...
Unfortunately, the Bible doesn't back you up on that. The Bible says that the only possible way to get to heaven is through Jesus. That is the only possible way. Living a good life has absolutely nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
And so, since we do not believe in Jesus, or at least not in the divinity of Jesus, if nothing else, then we deserve, according to the Bible, to burn for all eternity in a lake of fire.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of what the Bible says about that, that's what happened.
Believing in Jesus doesn't necessarily mean that you'd have to be a Christian.
Okay, but do you agree? That's what the Bible says.
Okay.
Do you agree with this? Not is it true or is it not? Because who knows? Maybe this is right. But do you worship a God who is going to send absolutely everyone who doesn't believe in Jesus to hell? I mean, do you worship that person?
Yeah, is that a moral being, or is that a being?
The only thing I could say is that is one really sick person, and you do not want to be anywhere around them.
I'll tell you what,
I think there's some ambiguity there because if you had a master's of divinity and theology, then I could say that what you're saying would be right on track.
Okay,
but you guys are not theology.
Okay, let's get away from this whole. Okay, that's called appeal to authority. That's a foul. I will clear up the ambiguity for you, shall I? I'll just read directly from the source. John 3:36. He who believes in the Son has everlasting life, and he who does not believe the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him. So this is God saying, if you don't, become Christian, essentially, believing in the Son, I mean, that's what becoming a Christian is, then you will get a big dose of wrath. Okay? So do this or get hurt. It's a threat. Okay? This is a religion that uses threats of violence, okay, to get people to comply.
Maybe.
There's no maybe. Look, okay.
According to
it's a parable.
No, I will read this
again. If the Bible is true, that's what happens.
He who does not believe the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of God abides on him. That's clear. There's no maybe about it. Okay, Christians are the ones. You guys are the ones saying that this is the inspired word of God. So if I'm reading from it and I'm not editing anything, I'm reading from it straight. This is what it says. Now, if you don't want to, if you're saying maybe, okay, then it sounds to me that what you need to do is maybe look at this because you're on the verge, really, of admitting that you don't think what this says is right. And you're having a hard time crossing that gap, I can tell. But really, obviously, this isn't right. I think you know it's not right.
I think the main principles, though, that the religion teaches that you still have to have. You still have to have a law implemented for people being punished.
Yeah. There have been laws and systems of morals in place for thousands of years before Jesus was even comprehended of. And the Bible ever came to be.
According to what you believe.
Well, no, I mean, it's just the Code of Hammurabi predates the Old Testament, and the pre-Christian cultures had a lot of these laws in place. But anyway, think about what we said. Call us next week. We're fresh out of time, so we got to let you go.
All right.
All right. Take care. Thanks very much, Arlo. Awesome to have you back.
Very much.
Happy Halloween, everybody. Maybe we'll have a report next week about going to that haunted house.
Yes.
Thanks. Tuesday reruns, 4:30 here on this channel. We'll be here next Sunday. Christians, we don't hate you. We just think you're wrong. Bye-bye. Take care. See you next time.
Have a good week and enjoy the Halloween season.
Lots of candy.